introduce our governor. And Governor Rick, if you will come forward, we are on stage now. Now, you can't really see anybody but Lynn, but they can see you, I think, and they can hear you.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Camera's over here.
Yeah, the camera. The camera's over here.
Am I okay standing
And
here?
you're okay standing there.
Okay.
So
Well,
if you would proceed.
Well, very good, very good. Thank you all so much for coming this evening. You know, Elisa and I have really looked forward to coming here for oh, come on in, Todd. I'm just getting started. All right. This is Todd Brewster. He's the president of the Dallas North Club.
Oh, okay.
We're having a meeting here tonight, actually.
We have a meeting every
Well,
we have a meeting every Tuesday night.
You bet, you bet. We'll let it join you sometime.
Okay. Come join us now.
super deal. No, we've been looking forward to this because, you know, life is funny, what it does to you. But I remember back when I was the president of my Rotary Club, Linda was my governor. And now she's the president of her Rotary Club and I'm the governor. So I don't know what that means. Maybe it means something.
You might get another round again.
Maybe it's, well, no, I'll just, I like to do things once and kind of move on. But no, seriously, it's always good to be with Rotarians and Rotary clubs. And we're going around and we're visiting all the clubs in the district this year. There's about 65 of them. And of course, as many of you know, each one is absolutely different from the other. And there's a great diversity of Rotarians out there. You meet people from with different backgrounds, you meet people with different educational experiences, work in different professions. Sometimes Rotarians have different points of view. Sometimes they have some different political ideas. But so they're really all over the place. But the interesting thing to me is when you come into a Rotary meeting, I found that a lot of the differences get left at the door. And we come together and we talk about this common thing, this thread that runs through us. And we all identify with that. And it makes us more like extended family than it does people who don't know each other. And that, I think, is a desire to give back, to serve others. I call that my heart of service. You may have a different name for it, but really it's a desire to give back. And we give back not because we expect anything in return. I don't, I think, but out of the, because we're grateful for our own circumstances. I know, just considering myself for a moment, my heart of service comes, well, first I realize that I live in the greatest country in the world. And even on my country's worst day, it's still the greatest country in the world. And I live in Texas. Did I say
Even better.
Even better. You know, we have great weather. We have a robust economy, friendly people, lots of opportunities. I live in north central Texas, and I've been here a long time. We live in a house. The roof doesn't leak, and the air conditioner is really cold. And that sounds insignificant until you start traveling around different places in the world and realize that's not true for everybody. We go to work at a job that we like and enjoy, and we get to work together each day. So I'm blessed. I'm very happy about that. And out of that, I kind of want to give back to others, you know. And we say that none of us really do that trying to get anything back. But we do get a little something, if you think about it. It's some people might say that's kind of a warm and fuzzy. It might be a sense of a job well done, completion. But whatever that is, you know, we do get something back. Now it's interesting. There was a man that recognized this a long time ago, a fellow named Arthur Shelley. And Arthur was addressing the Rotary Convention in Portland, Oregon in 1911. And Arthur coined a phrase which will be familiar to many of us. Arthur said, "He profits most who serves best." He profits most who serves best. And I think that's interesting because Arthur recognized that there was some kind of profit with what we do. And the more I thought about that, the more I wanted to kind of unpack that a little bit. You know, as an accountant, as a CPA, where there's profit involved, I want to take a good look at that and figure out how we got that profit and figure out how maybe we can make some more profit and kind of take a look at that. And after thinking about this for a little while, I realized that I could identify about 3 different areas of profit that we have. And it's interesting in talking to prospective members or people that don't know about Rotary, I like to tell them about the profit and see what they think about that. Well, I think the first thing is Rotary is really all about doing service. So we go out and we do service in the community. And I noticed on the list tonight, there are several different things there. You're actively involved in giving back to the community and serving the community each month. President Ian Risley of Rotary International has asked us to engage in a particular service project sometime this year. And that's simply to plant a tree for every Rotarian that's part of the club. Pretty simple little service project, right? Now, when we plant those trees, they're going to grow up over time, and they're going to make our community a nicer place. I know right out here in Preston Road in front of St. Mark's, I remember watching them plant those trees in the mid-1980s. And they were just scrawny little saplings at the time. But now you drive up Preston Road and there's this beautiful canopy of green over Preston Road. And so when we do service, we invariably improve the communities that we live in. And because we live here, that kind of benefits us, really. So I think the first part is we improve our communities, but we live here, so we're kind of indirect beneficiaries as well. Well, here's number 2, I think. When we go out to do service in our community or internationally, we don't go out by ourselves, do we? No, we always go out with other Rotarians or maybe family members or friends. We do the service projects together. And when we're doing service, I don't know about you, but I'm having a good time. I remember my favorite service project, the one that I probably had some of the best time at, is where it was the middle of July and we were picking up trash along the highway. Oh, we had a good time that day. It was 100 degrees and the heat was just beating down on us. And we were picking up trash and just yucking it up and having a good time and getting to know each other better. What a good time it was picking up trash along the highway. And over time, we do service projects. We do these things. We get to know each other, and our relationships grow stronger with each other, I think, and they grow deeper, and they grow richer. So maybe that's the second benefit that we get, or the second profit, is because of the service we do, we invariably over time develop richer relationships with each other. I know many of my best friends happen to be Rotarians. That's because we've gone out and we've done those things together for several years. Well, finally, if you think about it, when we go out and we do service projects with our Rotary Club, we do things that really matter, things that really make a difference, meaningful things. Now, I do some things in my life that are not very meaningful. For example, on Sunday afternoon, I'll sit back on my sofa sometimes and watch the Dallas Cowboys play football. That's not very meaningful, really. Or I'll go down to one of the practice ranges and whack away these little white balls. That's pretty meaningless. It's fun, but it's meaningless. But you know what? When we go out and we build a wheelchair ramp for somebody that needs one, that's meaningful. If we go out to an elementary school and put a brand new coat on a 3rd grader, it's never had a new coat, always had hand-me-downs, right? That was me. I always had hand-me-downs. That's meaningful. Or we go do a dictionary project, or any one of the number of things that you do, that's meaningful. Now, I confess, I'm getting kind of to the place in my life where I'm starting to look back, and wonder, did it really matter that I was on this earth? Is there anything really meaningful there? And time and time again, I see the things that I did with my Rotary Club, those meaningful things that made the difference. And I smile and I think, well, there are some things. There are some things. So there's your profit, 3 easy pieces. I think there's probably others. First, we improve our community, and we're beneficiaries of that. Second, we have richer relationships with others. Oh, that's important. And third, we do meaningful stuff that really matters. It's interesting while we're talking about stuff that really matters. There was a team that went into a hospital some time back, and they were going to do a study. And they went into the hospital where the people were terminally ill. And by terminal, I mean like pretty short, like they're going to pass on in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And they asked all of the patients there, from your deathbed perspective, what is it of your life that is your greatest regret? Oh, that's an awful question. What is your greatest regret in life? And interestingly, when they compiled the results, they found that the answer was fairly consistent. It wasn't, I went to this school over here instead of that one, and I didn't quite have the educational experience that I wanted. Or, I went to work for this company over here instead of that one, and I don't think I followed my career path kind of the way I wanted. Or my favorite, and this is absolutely true, I chose to become an accountant. I really wanted to be an astronaut, I really wanted to. It wasn't anything like that. What they regretted the most was the thing that they had an opportunity to do, and they didn't do it. They had an opportunity to step forward and try something probably new and unknown and different, and they didn't do it. Well, why don't people do that? I don't know why I don't. If it's an unknown, I don't know what's going to happen. It's a little scary. It makes me a little anxious. It may not go well. I might wind up doing something that I really don't want anyway. So it's all too easy to just kind of shrink back, and just say, well, I think I'll let that one go by. I'll let Larry take care of that one. He's a good man. He'll take care of it. I'll just pass on that. The thing that you didn't do. Now, there was an advertisement in the magazines several years ago, and it was for Volvo automobiles, Volvos. And it was a man, I love the picture. It was a man that was sitting in a lounge chair in his driveway, and he was watching the cars go by on the highway outside his house. And I guess since it was a Volvo ad, they must have been all Volvo automobiles. But the caption to the ad said, don't just watch them go by, but go out and get in one and see where it'll take you. See where it'll take you. I like that. I think Rotary gives us that opportunity. We can step forward and we can get in Rotary and see where it'll take us. Now, I'll forewarn you, if your experience is like mine, you're probably going to wind up in some places that you didn't expect. I never expected to wind up standing here in front of you tonight 5 years ago. You may wind up in some places that are a little bit different, a little bit uncomfortable for you. Being uncomfortable, that's okay. As a matter of fact, John Maxwell, the leadership and management expert, tells us that a leader is someone who is willing to be uncomfortable in order to grow and to achieve the objectives of his or her organization. So I would suggest to you that if you get in Rotary and see where it takes you, you wind up feeling a little bit uncomfortable, don't shrink back from it, but instead embrace it and realize that you're probably experiencing some growth at that particular point in time. It'll still feel a little strange, but it's worth the trouble, I think. Being an accountant, I talk on the phone a lot, so I like to lean back in my chair and I punch on the speakerphone and talk. And while I'm talking, I guess I can never talk to y'all anymore because you're going to see inside picture now. While I'm talking, I usually like to get this rubber band out of my top drawer and play with it. I play with my rubber band and I wind it around my pencil. And, on some of the bigger ones, the file ones you put around files, sometimes I'll even string it around this here and back like that. And pop it up. Just play with these rubber bands, right? Well, I've noticed something. After I play with the rubber band for a while, it gets all stretched out. And it never quite goes back to where it was originally. And so growing is kind of like that. Just stretch yourself out and you'll never quite go back to being the person that you were before. Never before. Now this Rotary year, we have a really neat opportunity. And there are things that are in front of us that we can choose to do or not to do. And Linda's got a great list of things that you can choose to do. And choose to do those. Because a year from now, all of us will be here, probably, hopefully. And we'll look back on this last year, the year we're about to live. And you know, some of us maybe will say, well, you know, I've been hitting it pretty hard lately. I think I'm just going to kind of coast this year. Just kind of put it on autopilot and let Rick there kind of pick up the slack with David. Or, you know, David's always works pretty hard. He'll pick up what I do, you know. Or you can look back and say, man, how about that last year? Look at what changed. Look at where we are now. No, not everything went right, but dang, it was a good year. It was a good year. So think about that. There's everybody's got a Rotary story, and I have mine. And I'd like to share that with you for just a minute. Yeah, we've got enough time. With the top of something. So way back when, almost 20 years ago, I had I worked in an executive suite, and I was trying to get my business started. And when I was wandering up and down the halls, I met this little guy called Chris Clausen. Some of you probably know Chris. He's about this tall, and he's very quiet guy. But he's interesting because he's always everywhere. He's always in the back of the room. If there's a meeting going on, he's there. And one day he said to me, Rick, why don't you come with me and visit my Rotary Club? We have Friday lunch. Think you'll enjoy it. Come on down and kind of check us out. We have a good meal and good programs. And by the way, you know, you can network your business a little bit. That sounds fun. So we went on down. And sure enough, I got there, and it was like many Rotary clubs are. You know, you go in and there's a bunch of happy, gregarious people around the door, and they shake your hand and say, hi, how you doing? So glad you're here. And really welcome you. We had a pretty good meal. I'm pretty sure about that. It was 20 years ago. I don't know, but it was probably pretty good. Probably had a pretty good program.
Fried chicken.
Fried chicken. I love chicken. I love chicken. I'm going to have chicken tonight afterwards, probably. We had a pretty good program. By the way, I usually get most of my local information from my Rotary programs because we have speakers like Judge Ken come in and talk to us, and that's where I get most of my news. But we did a couple of other things that I found were really important to me and really resonated with me. For one thing, we said the pledge to the flag, you know, and it's been a number of years since I've done that. And it made me proud all over again to be an American and realize how lucky I was to be in this great country. We had an invocation like we did tonight. And with all of the noise and the mess and misinformation that's outside these walls, I know for me, it helps me to stop, just cut out the noise and remember who I am, and where I'm from, and maybe what I ought to be doing. Just kind of collect that stuff. Then we talked about the four-way test. There it is. I know there's one in every Rotary club I go. The banner is always up there. You know, I spent a number of years in business school, becoming a CPA and doing my study. And we talked about how to develop processes. And we talked about how to do good accounting. We talked about how to get more production out of fewer resources. And we touched on ethics a little bit, not so much. But I will say that from my perspective of having been in business for almost 30 years, if you don't get this one right, you're not going to be in business very long. And moreover, if you don't get this one right with your family, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. And if you don't get this right with your friends and acquaintances, you're not going to stick around. So I really like that. That really resonated with me. Well, obviously I had a pretty good experience. Went back to my office. Of course, Chris being a good Rotarian, you know what he did when I saw him the following day. I said, Rick, how'd you like the meeting? Had a good time. Would you like to come back this next Friday? I sure would. I sure would. I learned a long time ago to surround the people that you want to become like. And they kind of rub off on you. And I saw those people. So I went back, and a little time went on, and of course, you know, the rest is history. They proposed me for membership. I will tell you, we have a little thing in our club about membership. Part of the proposal process is to publish in there twice in the weekly bulletin. And that's so that if anybody in the club has any dirt on you, that they can bring that out, because we don't want any of those kind of people. They didn't find my dirt, so they let me in the club. So I was very happy about that. Not too long thereafter, Chris was very quick to point out that we're a service club and we need to be involved in service projects. This is great. What are we doing? He said, well, next Monday night, we're going down to the Ronald McDonald House here. And we serve dinner to the people that are staying in the house. So what's that? He said, well, the Ronald McDonald House is a place for the families of critically ill children to stay while their little one is undergoing treatment. And it's not like a hotel, it's more like a big home. You know, you go in and there's like a fireplace there, it's comfortable sofas and chairs and hallways that lead to bedrooms and bathrooms and kitchens and playground equipment in the back and all kinds of neat stuff.
Just tell them we're having a meeting. Tell them around the time.
Tell them if they want to join Rotary, we'll
Yeah.
be glad to sign them up right there. So anyway, it's a very inviting place. And so I said, you know, that sounds pretty good to me. Oh, I know him, he's Rotary. Come on in, come on in. Oh, we're good friends. So anyway, we went down, and Chris told me, he said, now, Rick, since you're the new guy, you have to make the salad. Well, that's okay. You know, I make the salad for Lisa and myself pretty often. How hard can that be? And he said, well, no, you have to make salad for 60 people. 60 people? That's a lot of people. I'm not sure I know how to do that. Well, Chris said, don't worry, I'll tell you how to do that. And this is what he told me. He said, the first thing is very important to put an apron on because it gets a little messy. So he handed me this apron and I put it on, you know, and it was a red apron, it said Salvation Army across it. Not really sure how it got it, but it was there. And then you take the biggest stainless steel bowl you can find back in the kitchen. And I found a big one, you know, it was this big. You put it on the table in front of you, like that. Okay, now the first thing to do is you're going to put lettuce. Now Lisa is a gourmet cook, so I don't give them the answers too fast on this. First, you have to pick up your head of lettuce. Now I've probably got 4 or 5 heads of lettuce for 60 people. And you pick it up and you kind of tear it up and you drop in the bowl and pick up the next one, tear it up, drop in the bowl. And I learned this at Rotary. Do you know why you tear lettuce instead of cut it with a knife? That's right. That's right. I learned that at Rotary. Okay, we've got lots of good lettuce in there. Now, tomatoes. Think about the reddest, plumpest, juiciest, vine ripened, innocent tomatoes we ever saw. And those were what our tomatoes were like. Because of this, when we're going to slice them, we're going to be kind of careful because we don't want to squish. So you have to be careful. He told me this, he really did. So we slice our tomatoes very, very carefully and put them in the bowl. What's next? Cucumbers. Skin on is okay, but they should be sliced very thin because if your cucumbers get too thick, they kind of have a wang to them, and they should be delicate. So you slice them very carefully. Very careful, very good for detail placing. And there we go. Now, onions. Onions are good in everything. I'm convinced. And further, when you're prepping them, you can't screw them up. All you have to do is set them down there after they're peeled and then chop them this way and chop them this way and this way and this way until they get about the right size. And then there we go. Let's see what's left. Matchstick carrots. Those are the best. Because all you have to do is pick up the plastic bag and tear the top off. So we're going to do a couple of those. Okay, that's it. I'm missing something. What am I missing?
You do radishes.
These artichokes.
Radishes.
Yeah, radishes. I'm going to dump it out of the bottle.
Oh, okay.
Dressing.
Dressing, yeah, and croutons too. Y'all have a gourmet palate. Most people wouldn't have even thought that. Artichokes, really. That's cool. Now, so we've got this bowl, and I've got about 3 bottles of dressing here, and it's kind of a vinegar and oil thing, kind of a northern Italian wine, because we're health conscious. But we're going to put that in the bowl, all 3 bottles, so we don't take a long time. So we have to screw the top off, and then peel off the cork, you know, and then hold it up, kind of like a bottle of ketchup, squeeze it in the bowl. That's in there. And boy, that's great. So it's all in there. Now it's time to toss the salad. And there's only one way to toss the salad. I do have to say that this is back in the day before everybody had to be certified to do anything. And also, I don't think latex gloves have been invented yet because we sure didn't have it. So what you do is toss yourself, you just kind of roll your sleeves up, put it in the hands of the bowl, and kind of toss it like this, down the front of the bowl, and then back up like that, like that. And you know, this is the best part. I love this. I'm a little boy at heart, you know, because I feel those tomatoes working their way through my fingers down there, and in the dressings getting underneath my fingernails up. There's a piece of lettuce. Okay, get that back in the bowl. Get that all done.
Remind us not to eat there.
Yeah, we're all done. Well, I've been educated since then. So we get all done, we put it on the buffet. Now, that's kind of stuff. Really. And I have to say that sometimes I'm a little embarrassed when I'm doing service projects because really I have a good time, you know, and really that's, you know, we're going to make a meal. Some people are going to eat them, you know, not suffering for your community. But one night we were down there and it was getting kind of late because it had gotten dark. And I looked over at the door and I saw a man and a woman and a child in a wheelchair. And they came in and they walked about 5 or 6 feet into the front room and then they stopped and they're just kind of looking around, you know. So I walked over to them and probably said something like, "Hi sir, how you doing this evening?" And he's kind of a youngish guy, you know, kind of probably a little cocky, and he's smiling and said, "Yeah, we're doing good." And I said, "Great." I turned to the woman to greet her, and I remember she looked a little tired, looked kind of tired. She kind of smiled. And I leaned down and I saw that it was a little girl in the wheelchair. And when I looked at the wheelchair, I noticed that the girl, something wasn't quite right. Something's not quite right. But for one thing, her head was completely bald. She had no hair. Her complexion was not like you would expect. It was very pale. It was almost gray. She did have this bright yellow headband on. I always remember that because at the front of it, it had this cloth sunflower. And when she moved her head around, the sunflower flopped like that. So I leaned down and I said, "Well, hi, how are you tonight?" And she looked at me. She just grinned the way only a 5-year-old can, kind of nodded her head. And I said, "Well, listen, don't miss the dessert table. I'm sure we have your favorite. So be sure and check that out." She looked up again and just grinned, you know. So I stood up and turned to the man and said, "Well, you know, whenever y'all are ready to go through the buffet line, most people have already gone, so go ahead and go through the line. If there's anything we do to help, you know, let us know." And I turned to the woman, and she had these tears in her eyes, you know. And I just kind of looked at her, and she said to me, "Thank you so much for you and your road club coming down and fixing us dinner tonight." She said, "You know, we've been driving for 13 hours to get here today. We didn't stop for lunch because we were afraid if we got here too late, we couldn't check in and we would not have a place to stay. We really appreciate it." And I'm not going much for words at that point in time, so I probably got my motion at the buffet line off the limb. Well, I turned around and I was going back over my salad bowl to see what was going on there. And I realized that it was I that had tears in my eyes at this point. Because, you know, that's when I got it. That's when I understood. That's when I knew what being a Rotarian is about. We do these little acts of service that seem so small and so insignificant. But quite often we touch people's lives in such a way that we just can't imagine. And for me, that's Rotary making a difference. Little things count. Now, keep doing big projects. Don't get me wrong. But don't overlook the opportunity to reach out and touch somebody's life. Now, in our district, it's kind of tradition for, we've got lots of Rotary spouses here. As a matter of fact, there's a record of Rotary spouses being in the room here. Spouses, designated rotors, or chief schleppers. Yeah, so we've got the list covered.
I was chief because she only had one.
Well, it's, any way you can win the game.
Then chief.
And typically, the person that accompanies the governor has a cause that they're working on in their particular year. And I'd like to bring up First Lady Lisa to talk to us a little bit about what her cause is this year.
Cindy, I'm here. I think so. I don't know. There's a camera. Well, this year I had selected Alzheimer's as my cause, and it's passionate to me for several reasons. I did something kind of different and kind of stepped out from doing some of the traditional things that we had as a Rotary cause. Mainly because I think it's something that's really affecting so many people now. It's our aging population. We're seeing a lot more of Alzheimer's. We're seeing it affect families, grandparents, people's parents, and their children helping with their parents. And in my family, my mother has Alzheimer's, and I've been with her from the very beginning of that journey. And when she started that journey, my sister was with me. My sister's not with me now. But we didn't really know. And so, we searched to try to find out what we needed to know about the disease and how to keep going on and what we needed to do. And we reached out to the Alzheimer's Association and other people to kind of find out that information. And then as we've gone through, I've learned a lot about that. So I wanted to kind of share that information, kind of be a comfort to people that are dealing with it. And then the main thing is it's the one thing that we don't have a cure for. It's the fifth largest cause of death in the United States with no cure. And so I think that's really significant, and it's something that we need to really tackle, and I think we are. And in Dallas, in fact, UT Southwestern and Baylor are kind of cutting edge, and they really feel like the cure is going to be found here in Dallas. So we're, working, supporting that. We also are very excited that in talking with the Alzheimer's Association, we have the walk coming up October 7th, Saturday. So we're trying to get our Rotarians from all clubs to join together and participate in that walk. Those that are able that want to bring friends, prospective members, or families who walk in that walk and support. They can go online and have people support them for the walk. We've recommended that if they have 10 friends, $10 donation a person, they can raise $100 and then they get a free t-shirt from the Alzheimer's. So we're also working with another organization too. It's called Dallas Aware. And it's a local one here in Dallas that focuses on the providing education and training to caregivers in the nursing homes and community centers and also the Alzheimer's units. And it also provides grant money for people that are taking care of people and also some assistance to people that have limited incomes. So we're really doing a lot of different things in the area of Alzheimer's in different ways. And I'm looking forward to participating in the walk. And I'm looking forward to working with my Rotarian friends as we look at that cure. So I'm excited about that.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, stay up here, please. Well, to help you with your walk, here's a check for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I
Okay.
really do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Picture mom there.
Oh, okay.
Picture moment.
All through.
Thank you.
And thank you also
Thank
for
you.
your kindness. and
Thank you. I would like, and he will be one of our future speakers here. And Howard did not have you on his list. I'm sorry.
That's perfectly okay.
From 4 months ago, things get sort of rattled.
That's okay.
Thank you so much for being here.
I brought, I'll tell you, again, my name's Ken Tapscott. I'm the presiding judge of County Court of Law number 4 here in Dallas County. I'm a civil judge. I've been on the bench now for 10.5 years. I was going to speak about the Constitution tonight, but I realized I'll have to come back a different night to talk about that, and that's okay. I understand, mistakes and scheduling and stuff, but I did intend to pass out tonight, and I do for everyone who shows up for jury service in my court a copy of the Constitution. And since 2008, I've passed out 35,000 copies of our nation's Constitution. I have 10,000 more ready to go out in my chambers, and just brought a copy for y'all. There's widespread ignorance of what's actually in the Constitution of the United States of America. So I started doing this in 2008, and I look forward to talking to you all in the future again about our nation's Constitution.
Thank you so much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
your being here.
Thank you.